Miami's new roster was on display on Monday night. Unfortunately, they were facing the Celtics. New team, same result, a blowout loss that drops the team below 500. We break down what went wrong and our takeaways on Andrew Wiggins and Davion Mitchell on today's episode of Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, whether you're tuning in on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg here with David Ramill. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day. Have a jam-packed show for you. Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, Kyle Anderson made their Heat debuts, and we'll break down what we liked and didn't like from each of their performances. But first, before we jump in, big announcement here on Locked On Heat. Next, we are proud to announce the next Locked On Heat watch party, February 28th at the Taurus in Coconut Grove. If you went last year, same place. If you didn't go last year, come this year. We're going to be watching the Heat's game against the Pacers. Tip-off is at 8 p.m. Come watch the game with us, hang out, take advantage of some drink specials, great food, extended happy hour, signature cocktails, and hopefully you'll be able to get a chance to watch a Heat win. So we're looking forward to seeing you there, and thank you to Ariete and the Taurus Bar for hosting this. Hopefully, it's not the last one here. But let's get to the game. The Heat blown out at home to the Boston Celtics. First look at Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, and Kyle Anderson in their Heat debuts here. Andrew Wiggins and Davion Mitchell get the start. No Tyler Hero, who is a late scratch because of a stomach illness. Also no Jaime Hackers Jr. in this game off the bench because of a stomach illness. But David, why did the Heat lose this game?
Well, the Celtics are pretty good. I think that's the baseline there for Miami's loss was they were facing a much better opponent. Unfortunately, they also couldn't score worth a damn. Their shooting was horrific. They shot less than 25% from three-point range. They had a number of good looks and just couldn't get it done. And it wasn't just the newcomers who looked a little clunky in terms of their fit and whether or not, they were completely comfortable with the nuances of their new teammates, and they're not going to get much time, unfortunately, to figure things out because the team travels on Wednesday to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder, another very good team, and then they take on the Dallas Mavericks, who are pretty dangerous despite struggling for much of the season, even without Luka Doncic. So, look, it was a bad shooting game. I didn't see anything in particular that stood out. I think they started off really, really well. Their defense looked like it was energized. They were playing with some energy. It seemed like they were just free of the whole Jimmy Butler situation and were playing much more carefree and loose. And it was very, very exciting to start the game. And then eventually Boston said, no, we got this. We remember we're actually a much better team. And they just started shooting, and Miami's defense kind of discombobulated. I know a lot of Heat fans are already tying it to Terry Rozier, who we'll talk about throughout the show. He came in the game, and it seemed like Miami's lead evaporated almost as instantly as Terry came into the game. And I don't think it was entirely his fault, although he didn't help the situation any. But their defense was flat, and then their scoring just died. And it just seemed like they just couldn't generate any kind of offense whatsoever. And when they did have open looks, whether it was Andrew Wiggins or Niko Jovic or anybody, they just couldn't knock down those shots that were available to them. And so I think Boston just controlled the tempo and pace of the game, and Miami couldn't find a way to respond.
Yeah, I want to get back to the offense there. No Tyler Hero, and boy, did you feel it in this one, right? They went at one point, I think, 11 straight misses, and that's really when the Celtics kind of came back and ballooned their lead there. So not only do you not have Tyler Hero in this game, the Celtics also took away the Kel'el Ware lob, and between those two things, the Heat were without their most reliable sources of offense. And I know that sounds crazy to call the Ware lob because he's a rookie, but think about it. I mean, this is the reigning Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month that we're talking about, number one. And number two, it's absolutely true. That Ware lob has been basically Miami's bread and butter while Jimmy Butler has sort of been in and out of the rotation prior to the trade deadline. And so you take Tyler Hero off the table, who's in the midst of an all-star season. You take away the Kel'el Ware lob because the Celtics start this game with Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford in their starting lineup. No Jaylen Brown for them. Jason Tatum was able to play, even though he was questionable going into it. But they start big. They take that Ware lob away. I kind of pinpointed that going into this game. I was like, rookie Kel'el Ware against Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford. Like, this one might be tough for him. And it looked like it was. He looked like a rookie in this game. And There's nothing wrong with that because he is a rookie. But once you take those two things away, the Heat were without any reliable source of offense. And you combine that with the fact that three of the guys in the rotation are just kind of getting to know everybody.
Right.
And it shouldn't be surprising. First of all, it shouldn't be surprising even if the Heat, with all these guys fully acclimated, lose to the Boston Celtics, because the Celtics are the favorites to win the championship this year. And they're the favorites for a reason. They're a great team and they deserve it. But this is to me exactly what I kind of expected. They look clunky. The Celtics are basically a well-oiled machine. They know exactly what they want to do. Even when guys are in and out of their lineup, it's just different with the Heat kind of getting all these new guys in there.
It's a good point. I look, they were missing two starters, and you would think, oh, they're maybe at a disadvantage here. That wasn't the case.
It hasn't been the case all season for them.
Yeah. They're able to withstand that loss there. And look, Tatum, to his credit, probably played one of his best games against Miami in a long time. Like, he was very, very effective as far as his shot was concerned. There were a number of shots, whether he was kind of pushing off on his drives to the hoop, or maybe even when he was wide open from long distance, he was able to knock down that step back three of his. Yeah. And he just looked like he was feeling it. He was very unstoppable.
Took over the second half.
He really did. 20 points in the third quarter, season high for him. And Miami, conversely, a season low field goal percentage. So they just couldn't get it done. And I don't think that Miami did anything particularly poorly. They just couldn't keep pace. And when they had those opportunities, as I said before, they just weren't able to knock them down. And it doesn't help when you have guys kind of feeling their way out. You're missing your top scorer. Like, Hero's been in a little bit of a slump of late, so who knows what kind of a factor he would have been out there. Probably would have helped, at least, because he is a dangerous weapon and he can create shots, and at least he takes some of the pressure off everybody else because he does command double teams, and the defenses have to key in on him. So you figure with him in the lineup, even if he's not able to knock down those shots, maybe somebody else will get an easier look. But it's a good point. I noticed that Khalil was just rendered useless. Like, he was most effective early on when they were on that first run. And then after that, he got out of the game, was substituted in for Jovic, I think. And then that allowed Boston's defense to kind of settle a little bit. And then from that point forward, they just kind of figured out how to neutralize him completely. And Miami's three-point shooting was non-existent.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that opening stretch, because there was a lot of things to like. The defense looked great, as you mentioned already.
Yes.
Also, a little bit of fool's gold. Boston was 2 for 10 from three-point range to open up the game. That's very un-Boston-like, right? They're a team that usually goes 4 for 10 from three-point range. And so that obviously contributed to maybe the defense looking a lot better than maybe we anticipated. But I do think that the defense looked good. I think there's a lot of good things to take away from that. And Erik Spoelstra, I think, experimented a lot with his rotations. I think there's some stuff that we like that we can keep, some stuff that maybe didn't work as well. I thought, to your point, I thought the big man rotation was a little clunky and confusing. In terms of Jovic came in for Wiggins at one point, and they were playing Nico, Bam, and Ware, which I was really interested in. But then at one point, Ware and Bam were both off the court, and Nico was playing the 5. So he went with like this really small ball lineup that wasn't for foul trouble or anything like that. I think Spo just wants to try different things, and he's just looking at things. I don't think he's tied to any of these things. I just think he was trying to get a lot of different looks with this new group. So again, some stuff to keep, some stuff to get away from. But yeah, that was I was looking at the three-point shooting thing, because if you ever listen to John Corrales on Locked On Celtics, it feels like every single episode just starts with, did the Celtics make threes or did they not make threes? And that's why they either won or they lost the game. And in this game, I was monitoring it, and I was like, they are losing this game right now because they're not making threes, but they're taking a lot of them, and Miami's going to have a problem if they can't keep up with the three-point shooting. And for the most part, they really didn't. They started taking a lot of threes late in the game, but there was a pretty big gap for the meatier parts of the important parts of this one. So it's hard to keep up with the Boston Celtics, and I don't know that we should have expected something different. And I'm saying all this. Erik Spoelstra pointed to the spacing being a little clunky. Bam Adebayo, I tweeted out the video on my Twitter account, was very kind of glass half full view of this. He said most of the things were positive, except the three-point shooting was an issue. He thought that the offense got the looks that they wanted, and obviously lost the game, and that was the other negative. But I don't think you could get too down in the fact that they lost to maybe the best team in the league, when all things considered with what they're dealing with. I don't know that that's I don't think you can have some sort of major takeaway whether or not they won or lost the trade deadline because they lost this game.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, trying to incorporate new players is difficult. It's not always going to be a seamless look right away, and that certainly was the case. I mean, I know people are already going to criticize Andrew Wiggins and say, what the hell did we do? Why did we trade Jimmy Butler for this guy? He had a bad game. And, we thought he'd be a lot more consistent. He looked solid early on in that early run, and then the shooting tapered off after that, and he just really wasn't able to generate any kind of offense. And it wasn't entirely his fault. I think, again, the Boston defense did a pretty good job of trying to make things a little difficult for him. And when he did have those open looks, he just wasn't able to capitalize. But Miami's total offense was woeful like that, even when they had those shots open to him. So I don't know. It was a bad shooting night. Yeah. And without the kind of scoring that Tyler Hero can provide on occasion, they just didn't have anything reliable. Bam had some points. He was pretty effective, I guess, in the
He was the only good one.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was solid, but I don't know. It was strange. I know we'll have some questions later on about Miami's rotation and why they went with certain players and others that they didn't go to, but it just didn't seem to work. Nothing that Spo tried really worked that effectively.
Right. It's funny. It doesn't matter what you try if the players aren't making shots. It's not ever going to look good. That's just sort of the way the NBA is. Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, Kyle Anderson all made their Heat debuts. We'll break down what we liked and what we didn't like from each of their performances after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by Open Phone. Running a small business means you're wearing a lot of hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone, and before you know it, you're juggling customer calls day and night. As your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. But that's where Open Phone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help you keep your work and personal life separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few cups of coffee, you can get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. Open Phone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of your calls and action items the second you hang up. And if you miss a call, no problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss an opportunity to engage. And right now, Open Phone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnNBA. You get 20% off 6 months. Openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. We'll be right back.
Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Your favorite NBA team is a free daily newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Heat newsletter, one stop for ultimate Heat and league coverage with local analysis and amazing writing from Katie Heindel, Mike Shear, and Locked On Fantasy Basketball tips from Josh Lloyd. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. Likes and don't likes from the new guys, David. We'll start with Andrew Wiggins. Here's what I liked about him. Really liked the defense. I think we saw it right away. He was used in a variety of ways. He bodied up Jason Tatum a few times. When he got switched onto bigs, he held his own. And here's the thing about Andrew Wiggins that I don't think gets talked about enough. He's really strong, really strong. And I remember this being a talking point when I covered him his first year in Golden State, and Steve Kerr going out of his way, just being like, this guy's gonna be able to play the 4 for us when we got Draymond Green at the 5. And I think that you're going to be able to see similar looks in terms of Wiggins being able to guard up positions and guard bigger guys. This is a real, I think this is a real defensive weapon for the Heat, and I think you started to see some of that in this game.
Yeah, it doesn't look as good considering that Miami's offense was as flat as it was, but defensively they did some solid things. There were a couple opportunities there where I think Tatum might have gotten the best of him, but overall I think he handled himself pretty solidly. He is a very solid defender, and I think we saw glimpses of it, and I think we'll continue to see more as he gets more and more comfortable with his teammates and understanding his role in defense and things of that sort. But overall, I'd say it was maybe a solid C+B outing for him defensively. Offensively, I liked the shots he was taking. I really do. I think a lot of them were open looks, just had a really bad shooting night. And if he knocks down a couple of those, who knows? Maybe this is a different outcome to the game, but we'd certainly be a lot more positive on his first outing, because I think this is what you're going to see from him. A guy who's willing and capable of taking that 3-point shot. And it looks like that's going to be the steadiest part of his offensive diet moving forward, is he's going to get a lot of those open looks. We talked about it when the acquisition took place before he even played, that he's going to be a catch and shoot kind of guy for Miami. And it certainly looked like that was the case tonight. Unfortunately, a lot of the shots didn't fall, but if he has one of those hot shooting nights, again, it could be a very different outcome for Miami, and it makes them a lot more potent offensively.
Yeah, what I didn't like from him, a couple of turnovers where it just looked like the handle was off. One of them just kind of slipped through. He's on a drive, the ball just kind of slipped through his hands and stuff like that. And Andrew Wiggins, the biggest, and I hate doing the comparison thing, but it is an obvious comparison between Andrew Wiggins and Jimmy Butler, just given that they were traded for each other. But
Sure.
Andrew Wiggins is not the ball handler that Jimmy Butler is. Jimmy Butler is a clean ball handler. He's not a spectacular one, but he doesn't turn the ball over, right? He's clean.
Right.
He's efficient. Takes exactly the amount of dribbles that he needs to take to get to where he wants to go. Wiggins, not really like that. I think he's a better ball handler than he showed today. I do think his conditioning was off. Think about the last time that this guy played in an NBA game. It's been a while. And so he didn't look like he had his wind completely, and maybe that was a factor here. And you combine that with Boston's length and guys being able to kind of get in his face and throw him off a little bit. He's better than but he's just not going to be as clean as Jimmy Butler was, and that's just going to be a thing that Heat fans are going to have to realize with him. He just needs to clean it up a little bit.
It's a good point. I did notice that during the game, and that wasn't what I was going to mention in terms of what I didn't like, but it did seem a little uncomfortable. And the comparison is an apt one because Jimmy, not flashy, he's not Kyrie Irving or anything like that, but he's strong, and the way he dribbles is forceful and with intent to get to his spot so that he can draw a foul or get an open mid-range shot or get to the rim. And so you really see the difference there when Andrew is trying to create something for himself, and he's not handling it as effectively as he might normally do so, and then it kind of leads to those costly turnovers. It just looks sloppy, but I think, and we're kind of overestimating that players might be able to just jump into these situations, but it takes time. They're human. They get nervous. They want to put on a good show.
Well, and
they understand what's at stake.
The spacing was bad. If he's got more space, then the dribbling becomes a lot easier too, with Andrew Wiggins. But what was the thing that you didn't like?
The shooting.
Oh,
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah.
Good looks couldn't knock him down. So, I mean, you just hope that he can figure it out. And look, a lot of Heat fans kind of say, oh, you acquire a player and then they just wind up magically losing their shooting ability once they get to Miami. I don't think that'll be the case. I think, again, you could rejigger the starting lineup to a certain extent, maybe start Duncan instead of, Alec Burks. And who knows if Tyler Hero would replace Davion Mitchell. But, they need some more offensive weaponry out there to kind of take some of the pressure off Wiggs and others. And I think once we see a more balanced lineup, you'll see him get those shots a lot more easily.
Yeah, I think you need Hero, right? Just point blank. Even if we'll talk about the rotation later, like your point. Like, having Hero in there, just you already mentioned it. The attention that he demands, it just makes things so much easier. And everybody likes Alec Burks. Nobody dislikes Alec Burks, but nobody's paying attention to Alec Burks the way that they're paying attention to Tyler Hero. It just doesn't work.
That's fair.
What did you like from Davion Mitchell?
His navigation of screens and his all-ball defense was great. He is as advertised. He's a dog. Yeah. He's just, the best perimeter defender. He's a better Drew Smith. He's really, really solid in that regards. There's not a lot to dislike about his intensity defensively. And as I've said many times, I think he's going to be a fan favorite because we saw it early on. And he was very aggressive defensively, and I think he was also pretty aggressive offensively, like attacking the basket. Had a couple of layups that he might have missed, and unfortunately, that didn't help when Miami was just in this offensive drought. But he was attacking Porzingis, he was attacking guys there. He is fearless, and that's a great approach. It's something to appreciate if you're a Heat fan.
Yeah, people that covered him in Toronto, I reached out to a few of them, and they were like, this guy's aggressive getting to the basket. Yep. Don't think that this guy's just a zero on offense. He'll do stuff. The shooting is obviously clunky with him and has been. That was the part of it that I didn't like in terms of him, is like the 3-point shot needs work. He clanked one off the left side of the backboard, didn't even hit rim on one point. I was like, oh boy.
Form is not good.
The form is
Rob Fodor is already
really low. But so the not like is obvious with Davion Mitchell. I like the defense, picking up 94 feet, like full court defense on the first few possessions of the game, like right out the gate. That's a tone setting thing. I really like that. I was really impressed with his passing. He got Bam on a nice pocket pass early in the game. He got 2 feet in the paint on that and got the ball to Bam. Got 2 feet in the paint and did hit a floater. I think that was his first basket of the game.
It was.
And then he had another one where he was on one side of the court, throws a fastball to Andrew Wiggins on the other side on the other wing, and Wiggins knocks down a three there. So he's a good passer, and he's a willing passer, and he gets penetration. He'll get into the teeth of the defense and kind of do that Steve Nash thing and loop back out. He's going to be a factor on offense. I'm not telling you he's going to be the best point guard in the league. I'm just telling you, this isn't a guy who's just going to stand in the corner on offense and then play a lot and just play hard defense. He's going to do stuff offensively as well.
You can tell he's going to put in the work, and I know a full offseason, and I know that's a long time from now, but this Heat staff is going to turn things around for him, and he's going to thrive here. Like, you can almost see that potential willing to build. You know what else I didn't like, though? Whoever's tying his shoes, because those...
Twice.
He lost it twice. Like, what's going on there, man? Double knot those bastards. You got to keep them on there. I'm not sure what's going on.
Oh, man. I forgot to ask him about that. I meant to ask him about it. Just another peek behind the curtain here. Davion Mitchell in the locker room after the game. Just everybody's best friend. Talking to everybody. First of all, comes into the press conference room and says hi to everybody. Thought that was really interesting.
He's happy to be here.
He's very happy to be here. Let's be quick with Kyle Anderson. I like the rebounding with him. I think he's going to be a helpful rebounder. 3 rebounds in 10 minutes, 1 offensive rebound. He's strong. We obviously know that he's a unique basketball player, but I think the rebounding is going to be important. And with that, you get the versatility. You can play both forward positions. You can defend both forward positions pretty well.
I didn't like anything about Kyle's performance today, and that's not a knock on him. Maybe it's just within the context of this game. Everything looked ugly. There wasn't much I liked. I didn't intensely dislike what he did because he was mostly a non-factor. He didn't play much. Yeah, he was sort of out there. Defensively, he wasn't great. Left a couple of wide open shooters, and Boston, to their credit, were able to knock down those shots. But he didn't seem fully engaged defensively, and offensively, he missed a couple of bunnies, and it wasn't great. So it was just a bad night overall for him.
Yeah, he looked like he was really. First of all, his nickname is Slow Mo, and he looked really slow, but he's usually not that slow. We've been watching Kyle Anderson for years. He's not that slow. I think he was also one of these guys who maybe didn't have his wind completely ready to go. But now that the Heat have added 3 new players, now might be the perfect time for Erik Spoelstra to do something that Heat fans have been wanting him to do for a long time. We'll tell you what that is after this here on Locked On Heat.
Hey, Miami Heat fans. Are you looking to elevate your game day experience? Well, check out 2 must-visit spots just steps away from the Kaseya Center in downtown Miami. First up, there's the Brasserie Laurel, a culinary gem in the Miami World Center recommended by the Michelin Guide. Laurel offers an upscale French brasserie experience, blending old world charm with modern flair. Whether you're enjoying delicious bites or sipping craft cocktails, it's the perfect spot before or after the game. Just don't miss their happy hour specials every day from 5 to 7 p.m. Plus, you can also head over to El Vecino, a sophisticated cigar bar with a laid-back vibe. It's the ideal pre- or post-game hangout, or even a place to watch the game. Enjoy exceptional cocktails, bites, and a welcoming atmosphere for all, including non-smokers. They've got a happy hour also daily from 4 to 7 p.m. Both of these incredible venues are part of the Ariete Hospitality Group, known for elevating Miami's dining scene. Don't miss out on these game-changing spots. We'll be right back.
Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. The best way to support the show is to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcast app. Let's get to some listener questions. Thanks to everybody who sent in questions via the Locked On Heat Insider community. Free for 14 days, $4.99 a month. After that, you can sign up with a link in the show notes. You get first dibs at asking questions for the post-game show, plus a bunch of other things. This first one from a Locked On Heat Insider writes in, can we never see Terry Rozier play basketball again? It's been rough, David. And
Yes.
the Heat, now that I know Tyler Hero in this game, but they add Davion Mitchell, another player at that spot, and he starts day one. And I think that's very noticeable. I think Davion Mitchell is going to remain the starter when Tyler Hero comes back. I think it's going to be Mitchell, Hero, Wiggins, Bam, and Ware. Rozier will continue to come off the bench. But the fact that the new guy came in and snatched that starting job, and Rozier's just not getting that look, I don't know if Erik Spoelstra is just waiting for the right excuse. But not only do you add Mitchell, but you've added 2 other rotation players to this group in Wiggins and Kyle Anderson. No Hero, no Jaime Jaquez Jr. I'm just wondering if there's going to be a point where Erik Spoelstra reaches and says, you know what? It might be time, because Rozier has been struggling this season. And you mentioned the stretch that he came in. This loss isn't all on Terry Rozier, but he hasn't been very much a value add this season recently either.
The point to bench him probably passed us a while ago. So to answer the question, I don't think we're ever going to get to a place where Spo's not going to play him. I think.
You don't think by adding the three new players, now he's got.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're going to bench him before for who? Like Drew Smith was hurt. It's like.
Yeah, I get it. You assume if Tyler and Jaime come out, that's even less minutes for Terry to play. But I don't know. I just feel like we probably should have seen it because he's such a glaring negative out there. And there's there are things to like there. I guess if you're Erik Spoelstra, you can say, well, he's trying hard on defense, he attacks the rim, etc. But his offense is just woeful.
He needs to do it. It's time. I don't know that he will do it, to your point, David. Like, I don't even care about making the prediction here. I'm just telling you, it's reached the point of, look, a couple of years ago, you were paying Duncan Robinson a big salary, and you took him out of the rotation altogether.
Yep.
The salary isn't going to stop Erik Spoelstra from making the decision that he feels is the right one. It doesn't matter how much you're making. If you're not helping the team, he's going to take you out. And Duncan Robinson played hard. Duncan Robinson is a favorite in that locker room. He works really hard, but sometimes you just don't got it. And there were seasons where Duncan Robinson opened up a season and just couldn't make a three. And next thing you knew, he wasn't playing any minutes. And I think with these options now, if you've got Davion Mitchell and you've got Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and Jaime Jaquez and Nikola Jovic and all these guys who can handle the ball and do stuff, it still might be a little clunky because Rozier is a pure guard and a pure scorer, and there might be times where you feel like you need that. But I'm at the point now where just start Alec Burks over him. At least Burks is a willing passer, smart decision maker, and he's not the most efficient scorer, but he's been more efficient than Terry Rozier this year. I think we've reached the point where you've got enough options now, Erik Spoelstra. You moved one guy out, you brought three guys in, you've got more options in the rotation. You got to do what you got to do.
The All-Star break is going to be telling. The team's going to be on hiatus for a while. Once you come back, presumably at full strength, I mean, that's as good an opportunity as Spo's ever going to get to make that decision and say, you know what, I just couldn't find any minutes for Terry, and we'll see how it plays out from there because he's just not contributing. And look, I mean, maybe Terry needs the break too. Maybe he needs a little bit of a rest in order to kind of get himself right, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or physically. I don't know what the problem is, but
the physically thing is interesting. He's not been the same since the neck injury, the mysterious neck injury that started with him, according to Erik Spoelstra, waking up wrong. And then Pat Riley reveals that he was in a brace.
Yeah.
We've never gotten full answers on what happened with that neck injury. And I don't know that this is a neck injury thing. I'm not reporting anything. I've got nothing on it. I just know Terry Rozier, before the neck injury, good player.
Better.
Again, not terribly efficient, but he was a good basketball player. Terry Rozier since, it's been a very different experience. But let's be quick with a couple of these other questions here. Cameron writes in, why is Erik Spoelstra going to Pella to guard Tatum and not even looking at Haywood Highsmith when Pella is not providing a thing on offense? The Haywood Highsmith thing is weird too.
He's in a doghouse.
This guy ends up just getting in the doghouse sometimes. I'm not sure why. I understand that he's not the most impactful offensive player, but it's like Pella is an energy guy. You're not relying on him to score points. I don't really know. I really didn't understand that part of it. Why not use Highsmith in that third quarter when he was going to Pella?
Spo tends to kind of just gravitate towards those guys that are tryhards and working hard behind the scenes, and that makes all the difference. And like, we're not privy to those nuances. We don't get to know exactly what a player did wrong during those practices because they're not open to the media, and so we don't know for certain what Haywood said or what he's done or anything like that. But clearly, he's just not earning the opportunity anymore, and at least in Erik Spoelstra's eyes. And he sees Larson as a guy who can provide two-way impact, but that's not the case. Like, he's just not good enough defensively. He's certainly not as good as Haywood defensively, and offensively he just hasn't done much. Like, there was a brief start at the beginning of the year where he was kind of shooting well, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I can see why he's getting some minutes here. But that has not been the case in a good long while. This guy probably should be in Sioux Falls working on his game a little bit. Like, there was one opportunity there where a defender came flying at him. He had the ball in his hand, and he kind of just let the defender fly past him, reset with a dribble, and then wound up taking a really bad three-point shot. It's like, you're wide open, you're resetting, you shouldn't be taking that bad a shot at the 3-point at the NBA level if you're an NBA player. And so, look, he's a rookie. You're going to expect these kind of moments from him, but he needs the benefit of, again, a long off season to continue to work on these things in his game, and hopefully he can continue to bring that same energy and intensity with some efficiency as well.
I like Pella. I like the energy. Should not be in a playoff rotation right now as a second-round draft pick rookie. And that was sort of the point. Again, I know you didn't have Tyler and Jaime Jaquez in this game, but when this team is fully healthy, Pella shouldn't be on the court.
No.
That's sort of the point in being deep. I think that Highsmith probably should have gotten that look. And in terms of rotation questions, this last one comes from Alamas, who writes in, how do we get Duncan more shots? In terms of the shots, okay, he probably should have started over Alec Burks in this game.
Yeah.
I know that this is Erik Spoelstra's MO, right? When the starter goes down, he plucks the guy from the deep bench who doesn't usually get nightly minutes and just keeps the integrity of the rotation intact. Thought I got a little too cute with that. Duncan should have started. I thought they really missed him. Going back to the Khalil Ware lobs, Alec Burks does not have that chemistry with Ware, right? Yeah. Davion Mitchell doesn't. He just got here. So, and Tyler has it, but he was out. Duncan's the other guy that has it, along with Nico, who's not starting, obviously. So put that guy that's in there that has it. And Duncan has that gravity from three-point range. I thought Spo maybe got a little too cute with the rotation tonight. If you just start Duncan, probably doesn't mean that the Heat win this game, but it would have looked I think it would have looked better.
And you got to find a way to tie his minutes to Bam too, because obviously those two feed each other. There's chemistry there, and I don't think that was the case as Duncan was kind of deeper in the rotation and wasn't. I mean, he wound up playing 23 minutes, but it didn't feel like a lot of those minutes were playing alongside Bam.
And also got weird when they did that Nico Bam Ware thing, and then Ware and Bam both came out at the same time. Suppose he fixed that in the second half. We didn't see that again. So I'm thinking maybe that's something we see going forward. I'm sure Erik Spoelstra has to realize that. That's been something he goes back to time and time again.
Yeah, I just wonder why he was trying these things against a team as solid as Boston. Like, that is the wrong team to try things and see what sticks. And especially when you're incorporating new players. Unless he saw it and is like, look, we're probably going to lose this anyway. Yeah, we're going to lose anyway. We're incorporating these new guys. Might as well see what works so that we know not to try it. But again, like I said early in the show, facing the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're as good a team as possible. They hit I think a franchise high number of 3-pointers today. That's not a good look. Their defense is great. They can really turn the script very, very quickly within the context of a game. So that could be a team that's, you're up 10 and all of a sudden you're down 15 within minutes. And so you're facing an MVP player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Curious to see what Davion Mitchell can do against him. That's an interesting matchup. He's kind of a Lou Dort type himself. And will he be able to harass Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or will he get into foul trouble? It's going to be an interesting question there, but you're going to need other players to step up. I'd like to see some changes to that starting lineup, but we assume that Tyler will also be back for Wednesday's game.
Yeah, and that'll be a huge boost to that starting lineup. For now, thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcast app.